Hey everybody, how are you? Welcome back to a nighttime episode, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time of Success Secrets Revealed. Normally our show is 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but we had to modify that a little bit, and such is life, right? You know, sometimes you just got to go with the flow. So I want to tell you today's show, Success Secrets Revealed, we got a great guest for you, Dr. Sergey Sorin. He is a board-certified physician with extensive clinical experience in various aspects of conventional healthcare, as well as a long history of healthcare leadership and a whole bunch of other things that we'll talk about. First, I want to introduce the show, the sponsor, and then we're going to bring Sergey on. The show, Success Secrets Revealed, basically came about because my show, Internet Marketing and Business Solutions with Ronald Couming, on my radio station, WCAP 980 AM, which is every Monday from 11 to 12, because of this COVID, they're not manning the station. So they were just running reruns. And I felt that, there was just so much. I mean, the reruns were great, but there was just so much we could offer people now, especially during this time, that I wanted to bring something live. I wanted to bring our audience and our listeners even more benefits and value. So I created this live stream show. We're going to go live stream, bring on experts 5 days a week instead of one. I'm going to take the video, push that out through all social medias, but the audio I'm going to take and I'm going to send over to the radio station, and they can start to run these audios in whatever rotation they have, opposed to just running reruns. So this was all about you guys, right? And with that in mind, I want to say that our sponsor is RCS Online Solutions, and that's my company. We pay for everything. Our guests don't pay to be on the show. They're not paid to be on the show. This is purely a gift of all of us to just help you achieve even greater success, right? And avoid some of the pitfalls of being an entrepreneur and a business owner, especially in this type of crazy environment. So at RCS Online Solutions, we help business owners and entrepreneurs, much like you, attract, convert, and retain their ideal customers and clients to achieve even greater success using various internet marketing techniques and methods. And let's be honest, you can have the best product, the best service, the best website, the best funnels, the best videos, the best blah, 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 right? But if people can't find you, they can't consider you. And if they can't consider you, they certainly can't hire you. Now, if you think people can find you because they type in your name or your company name, I'm here to tell you that's nonsense, because no one's looking for you when they do a Google search or your company's name. They're looking for a solution to their product, to their problem, right? So they're typing in how to, what is, and that's what you need to come up on the first page for. Your name and your company's name, nobody's searching for that. They already know you, so they're not doing a search. They're picking up the phone and calling you, right? So you want to make sure that, get your mind right. If you're coming up for your company's name or your name on the first page, that doesn't mean anything. Google whatever product, service, or solution you provide and see if you come up on the first page. If you don't, contact us. Now, that's enough schooling. Now, let's get back to the fun stuff, okay? So today we have again with us on Success Secrets Revealed, we have Sergey Sorin, who's not just an MD, he's also a friend of mine, and I've been working with him for a long time, and he's a great guy, great personality, great mindset. But let's talk about his, professional stuff first, right? So Sergey Sorin is an MD, DABFM, is a board-certified physician with extensive clinical experience in various aspects of conventional healthcare, as well as a long history of healthcare leadership. After a life-altering diagnosis and successful holistic treatment of colon cancer in 2007, and he's in full remission and thriving despite having been given a poor prognosis by oncology. His focus has been on the broad field of holistic medicine, personally and professionally. He is a published author, including books, articles, scientific publications, original research projects in peer-reviewed scientific journals. He is also a co-host of the Sergey Sorin Wellness radio show and is a keynote speaker at a number of national and international conferences and organizations focusing on broad spectrum of holistic health and wellness. Dr. Sorin is currently a CEO and medical director of Sergey Sorin Wellness Institute, continuing and expanding on the work of C. Norman Shealy, MD, PhD, as well as is one of the true pioneers and founding fathers of the holistic movement. Dr. Sergey Sorin, are you on the line?
Yes, sir. Right here with you.
Ta-da! Come on in. Hopefully, I put my glasses on so I could read that bio. A couple of times I've tried to read bios and I butchered them because I really couldn't see them. So reality setting in.
Yeah.
So
I got my glasses too in case I need it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. And I know we had to modify the schedule a little bit. Originally, we were scheduled for Friday, but what I'll do is I will still copy this. This will be, live. Right now, we're live, but I'll also run it on Friday at 1 p.m. So anybody who wasn't able to see us and expected us on Friday at 1 will see us. So please tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do. I know you're a rock star. I've been dealing with you for, almost, a couple of years now. So, but please tell everybody a little bit more about you and who you are.
Yeah, thank you, Ron. By the way, speaking of one thing I discovered in life is, the way we talk, the way we think, the way we process, and the way we see the world is basically a reflection of our internal being. So when you say that I'm a rock star, I know that you're a rock star too, and I've seen your work as well, by the way. So
thank you. Because you said that, I had to come back in. Yes. Praise, right?
I will second that, by the way, 100%.
Thank you.
And so the short of it is, my background is, people ask me how I entered into medicine. Somehow, it's that decision is made. For me, it was the easiest decision in the universe, literally. My grandmother was a physician back in the former Soviet Russia. My uncle was a doctor. My mom was a nurse, has been a nurse here in this country as well. And I think for generations before, there's been people in medicine in various aspects. So when it came for me to make a decision, what do I want to be when I grow up? The answer was very simple. Of course, I'm going to be a doctor. What else am I going to do? There's nothing else out there for me. That's not exactly the right statement. We can do anything in the world. That's success. Personal success and professional success often come together, but success has many definitions. In terms of the highlights, and I'll mention a few things that I, in my mind, have defined who I am, where I came from, where I'm going. Came to the country from former Soviet Russia when I was a kid, 12 years old. That was in '88. I'm a little older now. 20 years in medicine altogether. 16 years in emergency room medicine. Still work a few shifts here and there in the ER, just because my personality, and I like what I do, and I do like to save lives from time to time. But disclaimer there is I don't really get to save anybody. I'm just a vehicle, a tool. In other words, I have certain skills, but it's a higher power that basically allows me to do what I need to do, and I'm very grateful for that. Yeah. And of course, about 12 let's say 13 years in holistic, ever since the 2007 diagnosis of colon cancer. And I remember that still right now, I'd say the biggest moment of my life, the most. By the way, 100%.
100.
Go ahead, Ron. Yeah.
No, I was just saying, I was listening to you. You were saying 100%. I love the fact that you came here from the Soviet Union at 12. I mean, there was so much fodder for me to pipe in here on, but I'm just kind of letting you give a little bit of background. But you came to the United States at 12, and you had a whole family that was basically in the medical arena in one aspect or another. It was a natural attrition for you to go that route, which you did. You could have gone any other route, but you've excelled. And then you had an episode in 2007, which kind of, shifted, what you were doing to what you then became. But I just want to, at least in the beginning, give us your background, and then we can have a little back and forth.
Oh, indeed. And I do want to say, in terms of success, how do we define success? To me, success came at a point of crisis. The crisis came in 2007 when the oncologist walked into the room. I had to have an apple or more greater size mass in the colon that had to come out. And I was told point blank that I would be dead within a couple of years, with or without chemo, maybe a little longer with chemotherapy. But yet, basically make a will and with basically shrink up and die, basically, and forget about quality of life. And that's when something clicked. And I've already been a conventional physician by that time. And I've always had an interest in wellness and holistic. And this is coming from the background in the former Soviet. The medicine wasn't very technically advanced at the time. So people actually had to use their heart, their minds, brains. So common sense. And that's what I brought with me, common sense, which is something that is not common in our society, I dare say, and definitely not present in our medical system.
That opens up a whole can of worms, brother, and I'm ready to dive into that rabbit hole, but I'm trying to keep this, you know what I mean? This is all about the viewers. It's not about me. But so, I mean, you had you're a doctor and you've helped people and you've had a life-altering situation. I mean, what was it that, what were you doing before 2007? And what changed after that? And then we can get into maybe a little bit about like your practice, and because you started a business and, obviously 2007, 2008 to now, I mean, you went through Obamacare, you had to deal with the insurance issues that changed and all that. And this is not to slam him or anything, but it just changed the way people did business. So how did you handle the government? Because a lot of people just sold out to the HMOs, but obviously you guys stuck it out. So just how did you what were you doing before 2007, and what were you doing after 2007, and what was that catalyst?
Absolutely. Before 2007, I was actually quite content in conventional practice of medicine. And that meant dealing with insurance, following the standards of care. And by the way, just want to say something about what the standards of care mean. Standards mean there's a certain bar, and some people fall below that bar. And certainly there are professionals that shouldn't be practicing, a skill or knowledge or information-wise. And again, I'm not saying, I'm not making any judgments here, but then what happens, the other problem is, and I'm sure you see this in business, is when you have a bar set here and you're actually practicing up here and you're seeing results on a higher level, but the system says, no, you can't do that. In other words, you're making all the other folks look bad. In other words, or people get upset, and I've actually had people upset with me for producing clinical results because of the concept, the approach to the individual, mind, body, and spirit, and alignment as opposed to a quick fix. In other words, here's your drug, here's the surgery. And by the way, I don't mind the drugs if it's necessary. I still do so in the ER setting. Everything is a tool. Everything is applicable at some point. And I still do minor surgery. And I refer people to surgery when it's necessary. But what people forget is that there is an entire arsenal, tool set, a toolkit that is completely ignored and not utilized in conventional medicine. And this is where the concept of miracles come in. Now, by definition, I was supposed to be dead by 2009, and this is all statistical predictions. What happened was, I looked around. Of course, I'm not going to kid myself. The initial news was basically like was a shock. I mean, it's how does it feel when somebody tells you you're dead? I mean, it's basically putting a gun to somebody's head and boom, it's just okay. What happens then? A lot of people get depressed, anxious, and what happens then is, and I'm very careful about this now with my patients because I'm aware of what people do in the healthcare field. If you trust the healthcare doctor, if you trust your provider, or if you trust the advisor, and somebody tells you you're going to be dead in 3 months, 4 minutes, and 3 seconds, guess what? Chances are you're going to make that happen.
Yeah.
Because that's called nocebo, negative placebo effect, which is the opposite of a good doctor, a healer, or somebody who actually cares. Doesn't even have to be a medical professional with a heart who is there for the person. And that, the power of love, the power of healing, the power of intention is so much stronger than any tool we have in medicine. But at the same time, I've been trained in certain modalities in medicine, and I certainly utilize that in patient care as well. So to answer the question, what happened was I figured out, since I was not happy being at the standards of care, and I was not on the lower end of it, I was certainly on the upper end of it. But I was getting into too many conflicts with the system, with the insurances. I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I couldn't practice the way I wanted to. I could not function in the optimal way, and I was getting criticized for better results than expected. So how does that work? Yeah, exactly. So I started a number of companies. So it's my first wellness company was called The Power Principles, which led to several books. And I was practicing out of a small office. This was back in New York, and working on weight loss wellness. That was the beginning. Since then, I've learned a lot. Approximately in 2011, I was fortunate to come across a doctor in the emergency room, and his name is Dr. Brian Daly, who became one of my teachers, mentors, and one of the best friends. And so we started a company called Sampit Wellness, focusing on utilizing the sound frequencies and the mind, body, spirit techniques for recovery, health, wellness, which led eventually to multiple workshops, lectures, talks. And one of those workshops and talks happened in 2015 when we were giving a presentation in Kansas City. It was a several-day workshop. And Dr. Norm Shealy, who is my current medical partner, and again, one of the most amazing mentors and teachers, but also I call him a brother, even though he is twice my age, really. I mean, he is very close to my heart. Gave me everything that he had. I mean, gave me his knowledge, information, support. I'm absolutely gave me a path to a brand new beginning. I thought I was doing great in terms of what I was doing with holistic and wellness, but my God, since 2015, I've learned so much. So when I got the offer right there on the spot to come to Springfield, Missouri, to join him in the practice of holistic medicine, I said, my first response was, absolutely, I'm going. My second question was, where in the world is Springfield, Missouri?
I was going to say, now, is it Missouri or is it Missouri?
I think technically it's Missouri, yes.
I know, it's the only place I've been to your office, and two things impressed me the most. Three things, actually. One, when I got to the airport, I looked out and I could see nothing. All I could see as far as the eye could go, and I could still see. You know what I mean? If I come in Boston, I might be able to see, a quarter of a mile, and then there's buildings in every other city. But when I was at, Springfield, Missouri, and I looked out at the field, it just went forever. The other thing I noticed is when I went there, I also in your office, and there's multiple rooms and stuff. There was walls with an S, walls full of awards that both you and Dr. That Norm has achieved and received. I mean, I was dumbfounded. There was literally like 3 or 4 walls full of awards and citations and things like that. And I forget what the third thing was, but But anyhow, so other than that, but just that it was just so quiet. And the other thing is, the hotel rooms were smoking. I went into one hotel room, I almost couldn't breathe.
Yes.
Yeah, it was crazy. They gave away. I ordered a non-smoking room. They gave it away, and I said, "What do you mean? That was the whole point of having a reservation. This is what you weren't here for." I said, "So what? I bought the room. If I never came, it's still mine, right?" Yes. But it was crazy. I ended up having to go to another hotel, but another story. But anyhow, so yeah, I mean, you guys are definitely, both you and Norm have achieved a ton of stuff, and in those achievements, it's not just like you've taken tests and you've passed tests. I mean, that's great. People can have book smarts, but the other thing is, all those things really mean that you've helped, countless people overcome one or more issues. What are some of the issues that you help people with? Obviously, we have to talk about the COVID, with little bit, because if we actually use certain words, the video will get deleted by the censors because they only want what, certain people telling you to
in
control
the media.
Yeah, they do
Yeah,
the narrative to control you, the fear-mongering media to control you. Anybody who has anything to say, truth or otherwise, you're not even getting heard. So we'll just say like the C thing, okay? So we all know what that is, because the algorithms won't pick it up.
Yes. By the way, help me with that, because I don't want this video to get blocked. A lot of my posts have been blocked because they're not in inconsistency with the mainstream fear-mongering powers that be.
Yeah, without saying that name, right? That particular virus that's going on right now.
Yes.
One, right? Can we, obviously it's killing people, but so isn't a lot of other things. And I don't mean that in a way to say we're diminishing the realities of it. It is what it is. But is it what they're saying overall? It is. I mean, if I'm 58, if I get it, I'm not even worried. I'm going to have a bad week, maybe. But you know what I mean? If even at 58, I get it. And if I had diabetes, heart issues, lung issues, this, that, and the other thing, then I might have something to worry about. But bing, 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 bing. And then on top of that, should we just decimate the entire economy and country for something that has a 99.97, 98%, it goes away on its own?
100%. And definitely would love to talk about some of the good things. In other words, the services, the benefits. And by the way, we do have in our practice over 5 decades, and I joined in the last 5 years. We've seen a lot of people since. There's been over 32,000 successful outcomes. 32,000, where everything else has failed. I mean, they've been through countless doctors, providers, institutions, but the difference is it's the approach. It's a holistic approach, and we'll talk about that. But yes, let's touch base on COVID. I've actually put out a lot of communications, and most of them have either been censored or, there's let's just put it this way. What I'm saying is not consistent with mainstream media and otherwise. And I have a number of issues, number of concerns about the current situation. First of all, I still work in the emergency room setting. So I still see people in the hospital, including COVID-19 folks, the really sick ones, but I also see people in my practice. And so I have a wide range of, experiences with this virus. And we're not going to say the name of the virus, of course. We don't want to get blocked. But, the fact of the matter is the prediction models do not seem to be accurate whatsoever. And yet the media and the powers that be are still holding on to those like for dear life. And I don't want to think that there's a secondary reason for that, but there may be, because there's no other good explanation. Again, I can get into politics, but I'd rather not. I know it's one of those loaded topics, and that can take over the entire conversation. But I've had to speak up a number of times. I just couldn't keep quiet anymore. The virus, it's basically the infectivity may be high, and that's fine. But the way to do so, and we've seen this with just the short of it, a little common sense from my perspective, is there's been studies in Sweden versus Norway. There's been all sorts of evidence-based material, including the fact that the death rate actually is no more than a cross or mix between a flu and a simple cold. And just can you imagine for a flu or simple cold shutting down society for decades? Can we do that? No, we cannot. Second thing is the concept of herd immunity and immunology and immune system and virology and all this kind of stuff. Again, it's not necessarily brain science. I mean, there's common sense to it. There's something called herd immunity, especially to something that has a very low kill rate. And again, not saying that there is a single human life is it's priceless. But let's look at the price. When I work in the emergency room and when I see people in the clinic, the issues that are happening is the anxiety, the stress, lack of finances, loss of a jobs, child abuse, spousal abuse, substance abuse, just the entire deterioration of lifestyle, which is the foundation of health, the foundation for health, dietary, nutrition, exercise, activity, stress stress, which is behind 80 to 90% of all the bad things that happen, diabetes, hypertension, you name it. I can go on for a long time, and all these things are basically flaring up, and I'm seeing suicide attempts, I'm seeing homicides, I'm seeing, my God, I've seen more kids brought in with with signs of physical, emotional, sexual abuse in the last, since the COVID began. Just, I can't even fathom that. And that's not something that's going to be resolved shortly. I mean, that stays with the person for life. And then they can pass it on to their kids if they're not careful by if you don't realize what's happening. A lot of problems for what?
Yeah, and that creates a lot of secondary issues and stuff. And right now, I also heard that there was over 30 people in Canada who died from heart problems because their surgeries related to heart surgeries, open heart surgery, putting in pain, were deemed not to be emergencies or whatever, so they put them off, and there was 30 people who died because they decided we need to keep the hospitals for. And then I see that there are other hospitals that they're actually letting nurses go, and they're closing because they're not doing other type of services. So now people are saying that there's a shortage of staff. There's some hospitals are closing. They talked about they had some of the centers that built here in Massachusetts, they built like 3. They closed without seeing a single patient. My sister works at Mass General. She was reassigned from her oncology floor because they were converting it to a floor for these issues, this virus issue, which we won't name. But then they laid her off, and she's been there for a couple of decades, highly skilled. They laid her off, and then and made her pay her own, made her take her time, her own sick leave or whatever. They didn't even give her unemployment. And then after like 17 days, they're bringing her back because they converted the floor back to oncology because the estimates were just ridiculous. They were absurd. You know what I mean? So in Massachusetts, and I don't want to get into it, but I'm going to say one thing. The top 5 states that have the top most amounts of deaths are run by Democrats. Yeah. And if you look at like the bottom 40 states, you know what I mean? All those deaths combined don't equal these top 5. So enough of that. But to me, it's like, what can people do, whether it's this issue or any other issue? What can people do to increase their overall immunity system? I mean, I've talked to you. I think you're a genius. I'd love to work with you going forward on some of these issues. But what can some people do? Because we've noticed that with this issue, if you get it and you have these other issues, you have issues. But if you get it and you don't have these other issues, you're going to just pass through it pretty much, right? 1 out of every 200,000. So the important thing is to focus on what you can do to build your immune system and build up your health, not just for this, but going forward. So what are some things that people can do to work on their overall immune system and health?
Okay, I'm going to start by saying a few things that basically, off the top of my head. First and foremost, stop the fear, stop the anxiety, stop the stress. This stuff is killing us. It's killing us all as a society. It's killing us as humans, and it's we're going to be seeing a backlash of this for many months, if not more than that. First and foremost, lifestyle. Dietary, nutrition, exercise, activity, stress, sleep, and these are all things that have been compromised significantly. Now, just because you don't have to go to work doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to go to the park, walk, run, do something, exercise, get some good quality food. Now, I understand if you don't have a job or you've been laid off or finances are terrible, it's hard to buy good food and good things, but there's still things that we can do to take care of ourselves. That's the foundation, and that's the foundation of the holism in all together. If there's one thing that is that number one that I would say, and doesn't cost anything whatsoever, this is free advice, this is absolutely amazing advice out there for anybody who's listening, is take care of yourself, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Second thing I'm going to say is thoughts, emotions, and feelings are not just these things in your head, so to speak. Those are the things that basically channel into neurochemical, endocrine, and basically every single organ system. It affects everything, and it's measurable on tests. It's measurable on EMGs, EEGs, it's EKGs. It's a huge factor. Lifestyle. You don't have to be under the control of somebody else telling you to be afraid. You can make the right choices for yourself. You know what is good. You know what is not. And if you don't, and I'm going to be very strict here, when I talk to my clients, I used to be quite permissive, saying, "Oh, it's okay if you cannot do this, then it's okay. We'll do something else." And I still do that, by the way. I work with people wherever they are. That's one of the key to success in where I am. I will meet a person wherever they are, and I will recognize and acknowledge what they're feeling and thinking and doing, but I will also work to lead them to a better place if they're willing. But there's also expression, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So there are some people who are good candidates for our practice, and there are some people who are not. And I'm very direct and very frank with people who, when they enter, is if you're here for success, that's where I'm here for as well.
Nice.
Then we have it's a teamwork, and I'm here to work with you. If you're not here for success, I don't want your money. I really don't. I'm sure there's other doctors, other providers who don't really care what happens or doesn't happen as long as they get paid. That's not who I am. That's not who we.
I love.
Go ahead, please.
I love it. The fact that you are, you're just upfront with your clients. I mean, if you're here to succeed, that's what we're here for. If you're here to be coddled in your, bad habits to be enabled, that's not us. So it's not about money. It's about the quality of life. But what are some tips? What are some things, factual tips, short to the point so people can actually get them? What are some tips? Like when we say dietary habits, obviously eat less, move more. I mean, it's not that hard, right? But those general statements, right? I mean, don't eat, soda, cut down on bread, these type of things. But what are some things that people can do actually for their diet, for their exercise? Because I've heard that you want to jog for 20 minutes. I think it's bike for 30, walk for 40. So there's, walk for 40. So what are some actual, factual, clear-cut things that people can do to increase their health and their immunity? And it might be as simple as eating broccoli, 3 times a week.
Yes, absolutely. The general formula. I'm going to give speaking generics here. Now, this is not medical advice, because if there's a specific medical condition, obviously would have to, either touch base with your doctor or get in touch with us. And I can certainly provide our contact information. What I recommend is primarily mostly veggies, about 80%, 20% good quality protein. Now, if you're a vegetarian, there's other ways to get your protein in, because that's what the body utilizes for enzymes, for the functional things that make the body work. So that's one thing. Exercise and movement. I used to have a specific recommendation that I would tell people. Now, obviously, the best thing is, if you're capable, of course, to have a mix or a combination of aerobic and also resistance. And if you do resistance exercise, and I personally love exercise, I've been into sports in my entire life, so I can't even imagine how a person would not love exercise, but not everybody does, and that's okay. If somebody is just getting into that, if you can walk for 2 minutes, walk for 2 minutes. If you can make it increase that to 2.5, God bless. Eventually, one of the best things is to get the heart rate up, to get maybe a little sweat going, and however you do this. Now, I mean, some people like certain things. If they like golf and they are moving and they're walking and they're enjoying it, God bless. If a person is into martial arts, my poison is martial arts. That's I've been into wrestling and leading into other things, and I love the sport, but it doesn't always love me. I'm in my 40s right now. But again, I do what I can, but just do what you love. I mean, if you love getting into the gym and lifting weights and doing things, and you love that environment, God bless. If you want to do something on your own, that's fine. But just the point is, do something.
All
Start.
right. Is there like time, like 30 minutes a day, 40 minutes?
30 to 60 minutes a day, minimum for best results.
Wow.
But start, do what you can. If you can start with 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds, that's better than nothing.
Yeah, and I guess it all adds up. So does it all have to be at the same time? Optimally, I guess it would be best. But if it can't, like you said, if somebody gets a 10-minute break every half hour, can they just walk around the building like 3 times and then, every, couple of hours and add it up,
100%. And the other thing that people can use, and I've recommended this before, if a person is really not enjoying exercise or hasn't gotten into exercise, there's something as simple as a pedometer, something that measures the number of steps, movement, being on your feet, 10,000 to 15,000 steps. And again, if somebody starts at 100 steps, and I literally had a person who was about 600 pounds who was at 50 steps per day. And then they increased to 200 steps per day, and they lost a whole bunch of weight. And then they increased the number of steps. And now they're doing fantastic, by the way. But you basically just get started, get going. Stress. Stress is a huge factor. And again, as I mentioned, stress is behind 80 to 90% of all the bad things that happen. Blood pressure, diabetes, hypertension, adrenal burnout. There are so many factors. Immune system, it's talking about the immune system and viruses. I'm not going to say don't worry about the virus. That's not going to help you. You don't have any control over the virus. I mean, it's interesting in New York. The governor actually made an interesting statement, and I was actually laughing for about 5 to 10 minutes, uncontrollably when that happened. That he was extremely surprised that most people who got infected or who were positive actually followed specifically the exact recommendations. They stayed home. They wore masks and gloves, including when going to the bathroom. Now, there's a problem with masks and gloves when you don't use them properly. You're actually causing damage. We can get into that as well. But it's this whole thing just doesn't make any sense the way it's presented. But anyhow, the immune system is the key. And how do you strengthen the immune system? So you got the lifestyle. Sleep. Sleep is essential. If you're not sleeping, whether it's worry, anxiety, concern, pain, whatever the factors are, could be a mattress. But make sure you're doing better with that. There are certain things, supplements, and we stay away from drugs. I can use drugs if I have to. In other words, I'm not against drugs or surgery, medications, synthetics. But my goal in wellness is to get people off medications and drugs, and we are very successful in that. Over 32,000 successful outcomes where basically people kept loading up on medications, 15, 20, 30 drugs, and now they're basically on almost nothing and doing great. And question I asked to the folks is, when you're taking your beta blocker, when you're taking your heart medications, your diabetes medications, does that make you feel great? And the answer is no. It's a survival mechanism. So if it doesn't make you feel great, if you're not optimizing your life, what's the point?
Yeah. And I mean, there are probably some people, some doctors too. And I just had an issue with my primary care doctor the other day because I had it was so late. But some people, they just want you to go like gracefully and walk into death. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And just age. Well, what do you expect? You're 50. What do you expect? You're 45. What do you expect? You're 60. But for me, I agree with you. I mean, it's quality of life. Just because there is a number there, that doesn't mean that your life is over and you should accept whatever deterioration that your body has. You want to live, to go out there, exercise, live life, get on a jet ski, jump off a plane with a parachute if you want. I would never because I'm afraid of heights, but you know what I mean?
Oh, actually, I've had about 5 jumps. It's fun. It's fantastic.
You can take 6, you know what I mean? Because I'm not going. I'll watch it from the ground and take a picture, brother.
Oh, I'll take you up on that. Anytime to go up in the air and come down safely, hey, I'm good. Ron, it's absolutely fascinating, and it's the same thing on age. Now, there are several statements that I would actually basically, if I hear any of my colleagues, I would basically take them out on the back and, let's leave it there. There are certain statements that I will never accept or tolerate. First of all, it's you're old. nonsense. We have people in our practice who are in their 80s, 90s, and they're doing better than 20-year-olds who are overweight, depressed, anxious, and on a number of medications. Again, it's not so much the age. Every 7 years, the body regenerates, and one of the services that we focus on is actually anti-aging. Telomere regrowth and regeneration. Telomeres are the tail ends of the molecule of the DNA, kind of like going back, and the cells divide, and under the best of the circumstances, the telomeres disappear or go away by about 1% a year. Therefore, what we came to realize or to know as the life of 100 years old of age. Now, a lot of people, by the time they're older, they're in the nursing home. That's not our point. We do, in other words, if I'm going to be in a nursing home, I'm going to be 102, 104, or 140. I'm not interested. I'm absolutely not interested whatsoever. I want quality of life. I want to enjoy myself. I want to be productive. I want to be able to do what I need to do. And when it's time for me to go, it's time for me to go. That's that.
Tell me about that medicine.
Okay. There's 3 ways to grow telomeres. One is a combination of, it's called bliss oils. It's essential circuits. And this actually has been shown by research to grow the telomeres by 3.5% instead of losing at 1% a year under the best of the conditions, and perhaps more than that when a person has mental, emotional, or physical problems. Now, there's another way to do so. It's something called Rejuvenatrix, which is it's a mattress. It's based on Tesla concept of technology, and it's a current that supports the human DNA. The human body is electromagnetic before it is anything else. And we're also emotional, mental, and spiritual beings before we're physical beings. And I can talk about that as well. I've had several experiences, very powerful personally, and everything that I experienced personally for myself, whether it's colon cancer with a aha moment, or whether it's a near-death experience that I also had, and I can mention that as well during this or a different interview. I share that with my patients, my colleagues, my friends, and I share that freely. These are priceless things.
There's no question, Doc. I mean, there is so much. I mean, my only regret is we're down to like 8 minutes. But yes. I honestly think that we need to have you back and maybe just segment it. So one thing, we'll come on, we'll interview you, talk about who you are so people know why they need to listen to you, and then talk about today we're going to talk about holistic medicine. Today we're going to talk about, rejuvenation or whatever it is, because there is just so much value. There is so many different things that people can benefit from. And once they hear you, then they can possibly contact you and maybe hire you, or, get, free tips, or, some type of publication they can read. So, and we got, like I said, we got about 7 minutes left. So I'm just curious, in that 7 minutes, what is it that you want everyone who's listening to know, to hear, feel, and know?
Yes. I'm going to share this. It's immune system. Let's talk about immune system in this time of difficulty, in this time of viral overloads and things of that nature. There are several ways to address the immune system. We offer IV intravenous therapy, including intravenous ozone with ultraviolet. We offer high-dose vitamin C. We do a number of modalities that really enhance the immune system. And the immune system is behind a lot of the things like cancers, even chronic illness, arthritis, blood pressure, and many other conditions. So there's many ways to go about that. There is also the anatomy of a holistic visit, which is very different than my conventional visit in the emergency room. I'm not able to do in the emergency room what I do in my practice. And that is basically, I literally sit down for however long it takes until the job is done, to understand the person on a spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical levels. And then the plan of care and action takes the entire human being into account. How is that for a concept?
That's an excellent concept. I mean, can you imagine actually taking the person and his or her whole existence into account? I mean, that is kind of like a lost art, given what's going on today in society and in medicine. A lot of things it's just like an assembly line.
Oh yeah, and so it's interesting. You actually get people from a lot more people from other countries. I mean, we have people coming, from Australia, from New Zealand, from Europe. Telephone consultations. We have very high-profile people who are basically, I can't say any names right now, but they who understand the importance of health and wellness, and they want to optimize. And this is the thing. Here's my concept. I'm not here for survival. Survival is okay. We'll survive. That's what we're made for. I am here to encourage and to express this concept. If you're not living your full life, if you're not enjoying yourself, if you're not being the best that you can be, mentally, emotionally, professionally, because it's all tied in, that's holistic, then what are you doing? And if you're happy with a less than optimal state, I cannot say anything else about that. If you want to optimize, there are many, many ways.
Good.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, just to summarize, I mean, we're going to, you have to come back. I mean, there's just way too much. I mean, we touched this, we touched that, we went in out and we went out, but there was just so much that people need to hear and know. And you're you're certainly qualified and you're willing to talk to them and help them. And, beyond informative, if it actually became instructional, they can certainly reach out and contact you. What would be the best way for somebody to contact you? They have your name there. They can certainly Google that. But what would be the best way that somebody could contact you now?
Absolutely. I'll give you my, Dr. Sergey Sorin. I can be reached, and my partner, Dr. Norm Shiley, who is still full-time practicing at 87, actually 88, going to be. Absolutely doing fantastic. So we're full speed ahead. The clinic is at area code 417-351-5221. Website. We're changing a few things, but you can still reach us at. Really? Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Did I hear something? Maybe I didn't hear something. Here's my phone.
You did.
Surprisingly, I didn't see that text, but go ahead. So they can contact you.
Yes.
Give everybody your website.
Norm, www.normshiley.com. That's the name of my medical partner. Eventually, the website that we secured and we're going to be working with is Real Holistic Doc. It's not fully set up yet, so if you go to normshiley.com, it'll get us the results. There is an email. It's on the website. I don't exactly remember off the top of my head what the work email is, but if you go there and there's a consultation page, it's fully available.
I love it. Well, they can certainly, I mean, your name is right here, and it's also scrolling across the bottom. Somebody can see that, and they can just Google it. And when they Google it, they'll get the information with respect to your website and stuff. And we're going to be interviewing you again. Maybe we'll bring you on once a week if you have time, depending upon your schedule. I mean, normally I try to do it 1 p.m., but, it doesn't work for everybody. So, and I think hearing it at nighttime, too, some people, will we might even actually get more people, but also if not just the live, but then when we push it out. So please know that whatever you're saying is going to help significantly more than whoever jumped on tonight, because it's going to be on multiple formats going forward.
And Ron, I'd like to mention something. One thing that came very clear to me when I was told in 2007 that I would be dead in 2 years by the oncologist. And by the way, when that happened, my first reaction to him was, if he didn't leave the room immediately, he would be dead before I was. That's what I told him, basically. Yeah. And I don't know if he's still alive or not, but hey, I'm doing fantastic and I'm fully in remission. Completely brand new individual, brand new creature.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to share. And actually, there's a lot of fascinating research that's coming out. And I would love to talk about that as well. Touch base on many, many factors. Wonderful to be here. I'm interested. Let's do this. Yeah.
I love it. And so just quickly, in the 2007 to now, I mean, was that mostly holistic?
It was all holistic. I realized that I did out of fear, and a lot of people do this, so I'm guilty as well. I did go for chemotherapy initially, and then I realized that when the treatment, when the solution is worse than the disease itself, and you're still going to be dead at the end of it, regardless, that's not the answer.
Yeah, my mother had small cell lung cancer, and she had my adopted mother. My biological mother actually died of this C19 virus that we won't name because we wanted this video to stay up. But she had small cell lung cancer, and she was doing okay. But then they put her on the chemo, and the chemo just basically wiped out her white blood cells, and it just allowed in pneumonia. And so she almost died of the pneumonia itself. Then she made a decision. I went to the hospital. They said she was going to die at Mass General. And, she survived, and they said she'll die. This was August. They said she'll probably pass by December. But she stopped the chemo, and she lived till a year from December. But I agree with you that it was worse. I mean, it also comes down to quality of life. I mean, if taking some type of treatment extends your life, if it's a rough 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, but then it gives you another 10 years, you might really want to consider sucking that up because the benefits far weigh it out. But if you're going through it and it's like extending you by 3 months, but it's costing you 6 months of misery, well, how about 4 months of, just having some, less misery, and you're going.
Yep. Ronald, this is what I call common sense, and it's been anything less than common, anything other than common. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and again, this whole thing going on now with common sense. I mean, it is just staggeringly, and what gets me is people they just buy into it, man, and they get so emotionally attached to it that when you come at them with any type of logic and actual facts and numbers, they can't even hear that because their emotions are attached to what they already feel and think. Then they blame you, give you a hard time. They call you crazy. You're a conspiracy theorist. You're a nut. You know what I mean? And it's like, really? The number said this. How am I a nut? This is a fact. You know what I mean? I get wrong.
True statistics and true information. That's my friend. It's a fear. That's not my friend. Let's put it that way. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, just whatever it is, get the facts and do the best you can with it, but do it based on facts and real stuff and real treatments, real causes. Just get the facts. We don't have to like them. It doesn't matter who said it, whether it's, number 45 or Pelosi. It doesn't matter who says it. If it's real and it helps people, let's run with it. If it doesn't help people, doesn't matter again who says it. Let's kick it to the curb and get back to finding a solution and giving people hope and a better quality of life. Because at the end of the day, I mean, we're just human,
We are human and we are wonderful. So let's make this experience the best it can be.
Excellent. And I just want to say that we had a great steak dinner in Missouri. And other than my smoke-filled hotel room, I had a great time in Missouri.
We'll make sure your next experience goes better. I guarantee you that.
I wonder if on the state website, right? Recommend Missouri. Well, wait a minute. Other than, I couldn't believe it. I don't think anywhere. Certainly not in Massachusetts, California. Because I travel a lot because I speak on internet marketing and business solutions. And in fact, I stopped. I was flying back from San Diego to Boston, and I stopped in Missouri. I changed my flights and then flew out the next day. And but I don't think I've ever been in a hotel room, in a hotel period, where they even allow smoking. You know what I mean? Any hotel. So maybe maybe I'm just I started traveling in the last 10 years or something, but that was a unique experience. I literally walked in and I got nauseous, man. But anyhow, Doc, you've been excellent. I mean, the fact that you came here from Russia, Soviet Union at 12, you became a doctor, you went out, you formed companies, you've got major awards, you had colon cancer, you found holistic treatments to change them, and now you've dedicated your life to helping other people achieve, optimal health or better health. If medicine, if pills or some type of conventional treatment is required, absolutely. But, focusing on the holistic, maybe there are other options that aren't as toxic to the body. So you're out there helping people have a better life. And, I'm just a big fan of it. I'm a big fan of you. You've been helping me with some stuff for almost 2 years now. So I highly recommend you. And is there anything else in closing you'd like to say?
Yes, actually, since the segment here is success secrets, I'd like to mention, of course, financial success is important, and it has to do with, I love the introduction. If people don't know who you are, where you are, what you're doing, it doesn't matter what you got. I mean, that's right on target. But I do want to say, from my perspective and my experience in life, is that I found that my definition of success, the true definition of success, is for me to be authentic. To be able to move from my heart, not so much from the head. The head space is basically there to support the process, to make sure logistics happen. But do what you love what you do, be of service. I mean, that's the only reason for me to be here in this world. And if I can do some good things in the meantime, we have a number of patents, we have a number of books, we have a great number of products. But again, it's not about the products, it's not about the patents, it's not about all of that. I mean, it's all kind of goes and contributes. It's about helping people. It's about doing the right thing, and it's about again, loving what you do, doing what you love. That's where I am right now.
Doc, you're going to be back, brother, because what you have way too much to offer. And when you do come back, we will, like I said, we'll kind of segment it to like 20 minutes, 15 minutes, and each one might be a specific segment, so we can just hone in on it and deliver, give people even more value, and they can also then know more about what you do and possibly reach out to get those solutions. But I just want to say thank you so much, and I really appreciate you being here with us for today. Good.
Thank you. It is an honor. Yeah.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. That was Dr. Sergey Sorin. Now, he's out in Missouri, but make no mistake about it. Like I said, he's been helping me with some stuff for a couple of years now, and I'm in Boston. So he and his office, Norm Shealy, they can certainly help you no matter where you are. You just contact them over the internet, the website, call them on the telephone, right? So, but you think about it now. Here's a person who came to the United States from the Soviet Union at 12, from a communist country, right? At 12, became a doctor, went out there, did a whole bunch of stuff, was a doctor, and then in 2007 was actually diagnosed with colon cancer. And instead of, taking, I'm sure there was some conventional treatment, but instead of just allowing himself to just, suffer with that, he devised some mechanisms, some treatments, some holistic treatments, and actually overcame it. And here that was, 2007, this is 2020, and he's in total remission. So, Dr. Sergey is an amazing person. You really need to reach out to him if you're looking for any type of holistic treatment, and you just want some common sense, real deal advice, none of this fear mongering crap. You've been listening to Success Secrets Revealed with Ron Couming. We are sponsored by RCS Online Solutions. We basically help business owners attract their ideal customers and clients. At the end of the day, you can be the best. You can be the best, whatever the service or product you offer. But if people don't know who you are, they can't even consider you. So you have to work on that online presence. You have to get in front of your ideal customers and clients. There's no option. And that's basically what we do. That's one of the main things we do, is we guarantee you, before you even pay us, we will get you ranked organically, not pay-per-click. Anybody can do that. You just pay Google and they put you in the top 1, 2, or 3 spots. But what you need to know about that is 72% of the people roughly pass through that and go to organic. So you really want to be ranking organically, and that's what we work on and guarantee. So anyhow, Sergey Sorin is absolutely amazing. I hope you go back and listen to this, and we're going to come back and bring him on, and we're going to be a little more focused. We're going to have individual subjects, and they'll be in the title, so you'll know each title, whichever one brings you the most interest. Then you'll be able to go in and just, target that info. I hope everybody has a great day. Bye for now.